Hi, Peter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I think we have a couple of the very challenging technical issues of the days. I hope everything will go okay because we have the fantastic guest today. So just finger crossed,
Yeah,
we will not crash platform in the meantime.
I'm gonna record the pre-recording session as well because it was a kind of a trial when you popping up on the window. No, we still cannot hear you. It's always complicated.
So who we have
Well,
today? Who we will just able just to grab for our BIM Cafe session?
so we'll be able to lie a bit and make our guest coming up. His name is Lubomir Popoff, and let's introduce him to our big cafe, right? Lubomir,
Let's
welcome to
go.
the big cafe, man.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Lubomir.
hi, hi, hi.
Thank you so much
Um,
for coming over.
Don't worry, relax.
my,
It's still everything. We're preparing it up front, so just to make sure that we have, if we can cut some of the screen, some of the frames if it's just not working. But no worries. Okay.
So let's start with the interview, Lubomir. Welcome to the BIM Cafe. He's the digital manager, the construction manager, digital construction manager on the company in London. We're going to run through this presentation. And with no more overdue, let's go over and see the topics that we have prepared for today with Lubomir. As I said, I want to discuss briefly up going towards what is the real goal on job in Lubomir's profile, which is adopting process automation in several tasks in the construction industry using digital tools. And to go there, we're going to discuss about how does it mean, how we implement BIM, and having career and data-driven design. This is something that we also discussed in previous of our sessions, and we want to just recap a bit to understand the importance of properly think about the data before we adopt automation in processes. And for that, we have the presence of Lubomir. First of all, let me just switch down a bit the music, Lubomir, so we don't get distracted, even though it's very nice and calm, actually. I like the background music. Lubomir, I give you the floor. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you, Piotr. Thank you for taking the time and invite me at the platform. My name is Lubomir Popoff. As you've introduced me, I'm the digital construction manager at Sir Robert McAlpine. We are a tier 1 contractor operating in the UK. My career path has gone through the design side all the way to the construction where I am today, exploring the different aspects of the wild world of technology and data within the built environment. I've been lucky to travel and work on projects in EMEA as well as APAC. So I've seen different streams, different workflows around the world, and I am excited to be part of sort of this digital construction, this BIM movement, this data sort of enthusiasm and benefits that are going through the construction industry right now, and they're picking up more and more.
Oh, sorry, we lost Lubomir. I pressed the wrong button. My bad. Yeah, you were saying.
That's great. This is first time ever happened over the last 30
I'm
sessions. We
kicking up the
cut
guest
our
absence.
this is anyway. so,
So glad to be part of the movement of BIM. Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. So I think we'll push it. We will push it later. Sorry, Lubomir.
No worries, no worries, no worries. Yeah, that's about me. I think this is the best I can introduce myself, and I'm looking forward to discuss with you guys these ideas and these tools.
Lovely. And I saw that on your introduction, you're just really looking at the data, the automations and everything which is related to it, which is great because it really shows another dimensions of the construction industry or being architect and just going a little bit one step further into the technology. So this is the great thing. But one question, and we're asking these questions, all of the guys, we try to find some money in BIM, some money in the way how the BIM is structured. And to be very honest, we are not able to find a lot of positive cases, which shows that the BIM really just brings some great money to the projects. What's your experience with this? How you see it from the purely economic perspective?
It's a very loaded question, as I'm sure you can appreciate as well. It's very complex. If we compare, for example, the construction industry to financial or banking, we can see the sort of how there is an entire industry to support the financial and the banking industries. We have plenty of consultancies. We have the Accentures, the BCGs, the McKinseys, and all the smaller ones, and they somehow are able to squeeze more out of having these external consultants going on board and helping them with external ideas and implementations from a, let's say, a separate point of view. In construction, I think the problem is the fact that these margins are very thin. Each next project that a company takes part of has a different set of processes, has a different set of approach to it. We have construction packages with different scopes between one project to another. The construction industry is not able to streamline a certain process that can then start to be improved with each next iteration of a building. We almost, I want to say, with some obviously adjustments, we start each next project from scratch. We have some lessons learned, but each next iteration of a design of a building that we are starting, we are sort of learning about it as the project goes, and as such, we are not able to take the lessons we have learned from the previous ones and implement these into these new projects. And this is where ideally these consultants, external parties, could potentially come and help us. Listen, we have worked through this. We know these processes. This is how we can do it. This is how we can implement better processes. This is sort of aspects where you can automate, let's say, for example. But these sort of external parties or let's say additional help can only slot in at different times of the project life cycle. We start with the architects and the clients. They have their own silo. Then we start to include the main contractor with the client and architect. That creates another silo. Then we have the subcontractor. So the delivery of the project is very siloed, very isolated between the different stages, and because it burns a lot of cash essentially doing this, not having this all aligned together from start to finish. The margins that are left for the decision makers and the stakeholders become very, very thin, and cuts are made in places where actually if a better approach was adopted, there would be much greater benefits.
Okay, got it. No, I understood. I think this is really cool. I will challenge the approach, approach. I think the challenge of the margin. Sorry, I will challenge the margin question here, a margin point here. If you think about the building Charles de Gaulle Airport, it's just a pretty big money, right? So just I understand that the margin out of the $1 billion is much less than in something smaller like a 1 million construction building, etc. But it's still percentage wise, it's just maybe small, but money wise and absolute value, I will not cry. I think that's when you look at the Paris Olympic 2024. All of the guys saying the margins will be low with the country, etc. But at the end, when you look at the total investment which was made and the margin which will be made, I agree it will be smaller percentage value, but in the cash, I think it will be at the end will be not bad for the people. Okay, I understood. Enrique, you have for sure you prepare some drilling questions to Lubomir, right?
I have this is something about the margin, something we discussed, and Piotr was asking Lubomir all the time, where is the money? Where is the money in BIM, Enrique? Like how we say it here at Smoke, with this joking, right? And I always defend the idea that the money in BIM is already there in construction. It's not really well used. That's taking in account all the different deviation in project, which is standardized as abnormal, and that project cost double or 30% or 50% more. So this is where the money can be for BIM. is saving those deviations with a better plan design, blah, blah, blah. We all know about this. And how with the use of digital tools, right? And the automatization of processes is something I'm particularly very interested on. I'm very happy to have Lubomir here to show us what is his job actually, what is the things he tries to automate. And also, I like what he said about just before about the external consultancy for the sites part of the project. Where do they need to come from, those people? I mean, do we need them from the construction industry, or is it good they're coming from this bank? We say IT always becoming to focus on technology solution. Where do you see this field, the expertise? Sorry, we are missing.
That's a good question. Where does the lacking? I think there are some let's say lacks in terms of the tools for the authoring tools that are available. We know of the Revits that they take a big part of the market of the digital, let's say the digital delivery. I think there is a great way of improvement of how these projects get set up from the get-go. So contractors get, at the end of the day, models and information produced by the architects. Very often these models during the construction stage get rebuilt from ground up. And there's plenty of such examples of wasted time that takes place because, for example, the model is not developed enough for a stage 4 delivery for the contractor to go and build. And I think there's an opportunity to be teaming up with architects, working with them to better prepare the project for the later stages. Again, this involves a greater, let's say, greater resources at the beginning of the timeline, where the benefits of this really get you can reap the benefits of it towards the construction phase, where you can actually start to use the models that have been produced. But yeah, also including the data that is provided with it. These models need to be set up in a correct way, and this is where I think external people can really help, who have experienced this sort of life cycle of project delivery.
Fantastic. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Lubomir. I like a lot your first speech. And Peter doesn't agree, right, Peter? Any comment?
I'm fine with you guys. I like the whole idea, and I like the concept that for me the challenge of these things is the reuse, right? And I think you said this, Lubomir.
Yeah.
I really don't get it. I was a consultant a long time ago. I remember each time when we went to each customers, each customer tell us, okay, we are different. We're doing something different. We are different. But at the end, when you start digging into the details, you realize that 80% of the stuff is really same. True, 20% which goes to the market, it's completely different. My feeling, and after the 2 years right now of Enrique digging into it and just looking at it, it's a very similar in construction. Give you the example. Why we just cannot go and just use the modular part which already designed. I understand that that's not the architect way, or that's not the good, but it's simplicity and it saves the money and it just gets the faster onto the market. So modular part, or just the industrial part, predefined, prefabricated, etc., etc. I still really struggling why we need to start every time from zero. That's what you mentioned, right? I don't get it, but that's my limitation of the digital IT head, really.
I think it's a very valid question, and I think everybody in the industry has been asking themselves about this, and we can all just share anecdotal histories or just thoughts we have. My personal opinion is that a very important role is played by the client, and the client's vision of the project, and the client's vision of the delivery of the project.
Okay.
If the client doesn't have an imposed, let's say, willingness, or they don't see the benefit of BIM, of digital delivery, and all the jargon words we can use. There is going to be push from the consultants, from the subcontractors, because the digital tools and processes are still seen to some extent as an overhead value rather than an integral part of delivering a build project. And this is where I think a lot of the problems have their root. It's still seen as a luxury rather than as a foundation of a proper of a proper delivery of a project. And again, I come back to the client, and it's important. And we do it. We try as an industry to teach and to show the clients and the various stakeholders the importance of this and what we're trying to do with the different digital tools and processes. But it's a very slow process. But I think we're getting there day by day, and one client at a time.
Yeah. No, but
We can
just
celebrate, no?
anecdotal, I spent this week, I talked with the group of the architects and some of the designers, and I asked the architects, so why not using BIM, etc., saying, oh, that's not important, etc. And then during the discussion, that's the architects which are specialized of building the big surfaces, and especially for the public usage, like airports, museums, all of this kind of things. And he said, you know what, we had a problem with the ceiling, because we calculated everything, that the air conditioning pipes and everything, all of this will be just properly mounted. But we forgot that just as during the installation, we figure out that the installation, the part which it's 3 centimeters high, longer than, and we need to redesign all of the ceiling. I said, why you haven't used BIM? You said you don't want to use it, but these things will really prevent you to doing this kind of things, right? And you will save you cycle of the redesigning, refining, etc., for the whole building, which was like, I don't know how many thousands of square meters. And said, oh yeah, but it's too complex, it's too complex. So I don't know where is the problem, but I know that the folks are.
Oh, hello, Peter.
I'm back.
Okay.
I think with my mic on top of it doesn't work really.
Today is technical day here. Everything is possible.
It's a good observation. I think that it to a big extent it comes back to money, to this investment. In an ideal world, in my ideal world, at the beginning of each project we have the architect, we have the client, we have our MEP designer, we have our structural designer, and we have our main contractor at the very beginning of day one, or maybe day two, of the project. And the contractor working with their subcontractors through tendering processes, they will be able to liaise with the architects when designing these spaces, and the heights, the dimensions, the areas, would be able to prepare the building site to be much shorter, with their knowledge, with the technology that will be actually be used on site, and ideally with some modern methods of construction, pre-built elements that just get assembled like a Lego on site. That's I think to some extent the construction utopia we can discuss. But it all comes from the initial guidance of the clients and the main stakeholders. It's you mentioned Piotr, you mentioned about the thickness of insulation for the models. There's plenty of stories like this, and the next most common one I would have to vote for the unistruts around the systems, and the different suspended ceilings. They always get lost in translation somewhere, and you always have to go and rework stuff and lift it because the unistrut is hitting the ceiling.
That's true. Okay, so maybe let's just try to create a movement in Europe about this. Maybe it will save like thousands of months in total for all of European constructions, I think. Yeah, well, anyway, very good.
Well, let's carry on with the interview, guys. To prepare here the first topic, or slot, whatever, call it, implementing BIM. But my main objective with this, Lubomir, is to understand also what you do as a digital construction manager, how to implement BIM in a project. We have a simple showcase of a plan design, construct, operate of any building or facility management delivery, and how those BIM protocols are implemented to be used during the life cycle. And I put in bold the word life cycle because it's important to also get to the operate phase, the digital twins, MRO, blah, 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 blah. So how do you guys do the work to make sure that the processes are implemented properly?
So at every project, just walking you through in general how we approach the project. We produce the relevant documents that we will set out based on the client's BIM execution plan, the existing architect's BIM execution plan, and all the available documentation that we have. We will be producing our own BEP. At SRM, we are now introducing the minimum requirements from subcontractors, and this will include modeling in 3D their scope of works, having the drawings being extracted from said 3D models. So we are trying to set. We are not only waiting for the industry to catch up. We are also trying to set the standards for our projects and for the subcontractors we work with, to try and push these new methods of work. We are looking as well as at that data, how we can use the data, the different sources of information of data that are gathered in the project, and trying to understand how we can leverage this into better delivery of a better product on time, without exceeding the set budgets. So we're looking at these standard sets of tools, but also trying to get them put on top of whatever the project has as an objective from the client and the architects as well.
So in a way, if people who make projects with you, with McAlpine, they need to have those requirements. You see, there is not a need on the market. You say we're going to establish this is our standards to move forward, and we always somehow collaborate with people or architects or any designer who are able to produce those. So yeah, this is a call of attention for me towards the government or other institutions who are not really pushing.
Yes. It's all all government projects are or will be requiring BIM deliverables, and this is not going away anywhere. This is not a fad that will disappear in a year or 2 or 5. These are the ways in which we will be going forward, and technology will be really at the center of it, together with the data it produces and it also analyzes.
Yeah, no, I think you guys right in the way how you see it. But one of the things I was always thinking about the speed here and just going faster. Maybe that's not necessary, because what you said, Lubomir, is as well is just this is the complex structure and the long projects, and there are a lot of interactions, and to make sure that you can really synchronize all of the actors, it can take a lot of time, right? So I think maybe the speed is not one, but I still just see it like it's going not really fast, let's say. So anyway,
but it's going.
it's going relatively slow comparing to the other businesses.
Yeah.
No, it's. I'm sure we have all seen the graph of the productivity of the different sectors, and we can see at the bottom the construction industry just ever so slightly rising year on year.
Yeah, no,
but I think agriculture the highest one. It's yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to say this is the reality that we are facing. Again, it's many moving components. It's the difficulty of leaning out the process, really making the building, manufacturing and building like almost like a car lane, where we have stations where at each station another component is added. This is the this is where we need to figure out how we can reach this, and this is why I mentioned earlier that client involvement and main stakeholder involvements like tier 1 contractors, tier 2 contractors at the beginning of the project is key, and obviously again it requires a lot of resources at the beginning, and I think many clients are wary of this, that if it goes wrong it can go very very wrong, but
Mhm.
I believe someone will have to take the risk at some point.
So of course, at risk, it's I understood. I would like to go back a little bit to the productivity, and that's something which is that's also the reason why we are pushing so hard to get into the BIM, because we see I see this on the European market, and you can see it right now. The productivity of the different economies are going down, right? So just the people productivity, when the productivity is directly linked, this is the correlations with the people being more being richer and just having the better life, etc. When the productivity goes down, the people will be poorer. So just and I think the big construction industry like this, which hold pretty significant part of economy, if we will be able to be more productive, again, Europe will become more and more wealthy, and become the people will be feel much safer and better. So, but we're talking about the microeconomics here, which I think it's not really linked with what the big corporations want. You know, as we mentioned, complex projects, long projects, small margin, but it's still healthy. So they don't really care about the productivity. So I think the government need to push a little bit towards pushing the company, saying just you need to use the technology. You need, because that will be the wealth for everybody. That will be the good stuff for all of European countries worldwide. Anyway, that will be for the world. My God, we're getting philosophical here. That's
Yeah.
not good.
What
We
was the
need,
question?
we need
No,
to talk
I was
about
thinking.
that's just we go to politics, philosophical, and we have the technical
Yeah.
problem with microphones today. This is fantastic.
So
Anyway,
sometimes we don't make question. We just make some thoughts, open thoughts, also.
yeah, okay.
It's very true. It's very true about this. I mean, again, when you were mentioning these things, Piotr, what popped into my mind is the matters of again sustainability. We will have to be reducing our carbon footprints. We will have to reduce as much as possible the reworks, which cost a lot of money, but as well pollute the environment, because we need to produce and reproduce these materials. Again, these digital tools, digital processes, they are there for the taking to help us reduce the emitting of CO2 and other sort of gases, which again, I think the construction industry is one of the leading polluters as an industry worldwide. And another thing that came to my mind, Piotr, is the future workforce on these project sites. I don't have data currently to back this, but again, anecdotally, I can see that there is. It's harder and harder to get a proper workforce to go and build these projects, and we will be having to be going towards more automation on the sites, using robotics, perhaps using prefabricated modules.
Modules.
And again, this is what,
Exactly. Yes. Sorry, interrupt. Modules. That's what I'm saying. Module. Yes,
and
we got it. We get it. Yeah.
and yeah, we can I mean we can however we dice it and look at it. I'm obviously biased because I work with that specific environment within the construction site. I'm just one piece of the puzzle, but from my perspective, my subjective maybe perspective, uh, data technology and processes around that will be the key for the construction industry going forward.
I hope so. Yeah.
Beautiful statement over there. Well, I'm gonna challenge you after as an architect, Lubomir, about the prefab the designs, industrialization of processes, because I have my not my concern, just my doubts, right? As an engineer, I'm more pragmatic, so I want to hear the architect's voice. But first, let's move over because you just talk about the data. I want to I want to show on the slide this data-driven design concept. Okay, for me, it's important. This is sort of a slide we already showed back in our first season. I don't know if Peter remember or not, when I was teaching him about BIM and digitalization. This is more or less what we're trying to do with BIM, let's say, put it in a general way. But you can see the two different processes: data-driven design or is design-driven. And by itself, how we can cross out the redesign if we analyze and validate all data before. This is what we're trying to do with digital tools. So this is not a question. I give you the floor, no? So to help me to back me up with this strategy,
Yeah, it's well, the top one is something that I relate to very much on my day to day, unfortunately, and the bottom workflow is the ideal process that we hope to achieve. Now, as always, we start with the clients and the requirements and the different capabilities we have from the consultant teams as well, which cannot be, I think, cannot be negated going into a project. Bigger companies, bigger architectural studios, we have resources to better support some of these requirements than other more independent architects. So there is always sort of a challenge on finding a good balance of that. However, again, the data part, I think, comes to a big extent from the builders, from the guys who actually go on site and build it and deliver this, because they know, looking at the project, they should be able, with the data they have, be able to feedback into the architects, into the design, into the client, what sort of challenges they can face when designing a specific building for a specific use in any given way. So it's very important to gather the data from each project that you get involved with, and try to understand how can you use it in the future, in the next project, so that you don't redo stuff that you've already done, that you already know, but you don't know that you know it because you haven't captured it. And this is the challenge. Again, it's we can use the Power BIs, the different sort of data gathering tools we have, but it's realizing that there is a fountain of information that hasn't yet been tapped in. And again, I think that there is, albeit slow, there is a movement towards this, and industries and companies are starting to realize that there is a lot to be uncovered with the data they have.
Agreed. So how you want to challenge, Enrique? Just you don't like the modular spaces? You don't want to have the same bathroom in each place in the world? I don't know. What's the problem?
This is where I want to challenge and ready with the data stuff. That you, of course, it's way more efficient if you produce all the prefab panels of houses even directly, so the construction is way more efficient and cheaper and so on. But I want to say, as the view from an architect, you want to make your own design, you want to leave your brand there, and the owner of the product, or the client, they want to pay for something sort of unique, or having the not exclusivity, but they say, okay, this is my house, or this is my building, or this is my stadium, or this is my hospital. I designed this hospital. Otherwise, who would like to brag in a way, to put in your CV as an architect? I designed 1,700 houses which look exactly the same, right? What is your view there as an architect?
As an architect, as someone who has been trained as an architect,
Okay.
I will say I totally agree, and I always take this into consideration, because you can create an ideal, let's say, office building, just copy paste it a million times, and you have reached 100% efficiency. But I think there is an economical concept called the Pareto efficiency, or called the 20-80% rule. In essence, to give you an example, if any given company looks at their incomes, they will find that 80% of their income comes from 20% of the companies. And I think such an efficiency equation could be used in this instance. If we have, let's say, an 80% standardization for the models, and we give for the projects, we give the architects the additional 20% for their design space to create the design they want, and something that fulfills clients' requirements. I think that this would strike a balance in terms of monetary equations, as well as aesthetics for the architects and the clients and their portfolio. I think 80%, realistically, 80% of automation on a construction site is possible. The remaining 20% will always be something that is either unforeseen or cannot be automated or streamlined inside the process.
Enrique, how you want to do this? It's just so you want to, for example, like have the special pipe for water because you want to design it. Come on, this pipe of water exists, right? And just you have the special air conditioning channels. Come on, it's just I don't know. I'm just completely ignorant, and I understand the beauty of it. And of course, everybody loves to walk in Paris and look at the different buildings. Going to Madrid and just enjoy the eye with the designs. But guys, come on.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I was curious to see the view this from an architect, because this is hard to see them from other architects who they want to always leave their mark. No? And I was thinking about a concept of imagining, to don't mention any name, any big retail companies who can make like construction materials, sort of creating our big BIM library. You put there all the different designs that can fit in your building. So you go there and you select this 20% you have available, because at the end, actually, yeah, the grounding, those pillars, the pilot, Peter just said, these you're not going to see. They're going to be pretty much, they can be standardized in a way, everything which is behind the walls. No? But other materials are sort of, you can always take them from an open but closed space of options. No? This is, I think, what the Lubomir was saying with the 20% of freedom for them.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about seeing all of the people wearing the same shirt the same day across the street. And I said, maybe you're right, Enrique. We need to leave some part of the freedom for the guys, because if you can just say all of the people wearing the same stuff each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wow, it will be really horrible. So
no, but definitely, it really worries me also that what Lubomir said, that we usually don't take or learn those mistakes from all projects, right? So you are doing something again fully new and without learning from things you did before. So you're not even reusing techniques or materials. So if at least it's standardized, but you forget what you did before, but you can still do the process, automatize or standardize it better, but not even that. So
yeah, no, but this is the role of the guys. So sorry, Lubomir. This is the role of the guys who are just like, for me, this is kind of like in manufacturers. They need to be the part of the playing the game there, because I think at the end, when it goes, architect will design it, will just make it beautiful. It goes to the engineers to make it make it work. They will use the data from the manufacturers to make sure that it really works, right? They can get it, and that's the role of the manufacturers, to push it to the maximum, to standardize it, to make it happen. Anyway, we're going in a different directions right now. I think we're supposed to talk about the automations, aren't we?
yeah, but it's interesting topic. I want to ask Lubomir after about that. But our first topic or blog is everything we talk about data-driven design and implementing BIM. How do we make it happen with the process of automation? And here again, Lubomir, I want to give you this. Give you the room and talk about it, how to make those things that we are not learning from previous experiences, as you said.
Well, I to target some of the points as well that you have on your screen. I took a course in. I was an apprentice on data analytics. It was a year and a half course, and it was quite an eye-opening experience to show, well, how other competitors, let's call them, how they use the data, and what sort of systems they have created to help drive their decision making, but as well to communicate with the clients. I think that clients would be very interested in understanding to a more technical level what is happening on the project, if it was packaged and if it was filtered well enough. when I imagine, when I talk about a presentation, I always think of the architect Bjarke Ingels, who I think has done a lot of good in terms of simplifying the explanations of design concepts. And I think this is what needs to happen with data. It's showing the correct information to the correct people at the correct level, as simply as it is possible. And in construction, we use many different systems. We use a system for the turnstiles when we check into the site, and we actually want to go, so we know who's on the site at any given time. We have our CDEs, common data environments, where we gather all our drawings and all the histories of the drawings. We have authoring tools like Revit. There's plenty of systems that are being used throughout the project lifecycle, up to handover, including handover and facility management. And the idea is that these different systems produce data. They are giving us some of the facts, like revisions, dates, information about the names and titles. But it is up to us to gather the sum of it and try to distill and understand what this information can give us. And from a technical point of view, we have now the tools of Power BI that are becoming much more accessible. They are being brought to light in general, where we are able to link different systems. We know that the entire world runs on Excel, and hopefully this will, going forward, we will be moving towards more centralized and cloud-based data centers, so that we can group together different informations from project, and combine them and analyze them as a sum of all of them, rather than in different silos. And I think, again, skilling up, bringing up about it, just getting involved with the community of data analytics, and as such is a first step. And I think we are very much into this first stage of it, is getting people to talk about it, is getting the people involved with it, and starting to produce low-level data analytics that will tell us what has happened, and then hopefully develop this into what is happening and what will happen ultimately.
Okay. I will challenge the idea of pulling the data in the one structure. I think that's a little bit, it's a bit old. Maybe not old, but this is, I think, it used to be the idea just to put all of the data together. Right now, I think the idea is more to how to access it and how to analyze it. There is nothing wrong in Excel. Some of the functionalities are very common and very used. And if you need, for example, quickly ad hoc register the number of the items on the floor because you want to have it for like one day, just put it Excel, do it. Don't do the applications for it, which takes you 2 weeks to register, right? So, but the idea is really just to make sure that we can take the data, analyze it, make it sure that it's just correlated with the others. And I know this is, everybody talks about the chat GPT and everything on OpenAI, but the whole concept of it is really just that you give the data to you create the model and you give the access to the data. You don't want to put the data in the same place, right? So that's I will be pushing back on this, because it will take you more time to put data into one place, structure it, instead of just accessing it and learn how to use it. But and different
No,
topic.
I agree. Perhaps I didn't phrase it correctly. Obviously, we have the different system. The idea is not to put everything in one place and then analyze it, but is to group the different sets of information relevant within each other, and then analyze them together.
I agree.
There was something you mentioned about Chat GPT. Again, there is the next hot topic currently being talked about. But again, it does not produce something out of nothing. It's once
Correct.
Again, it's the way that we frame it to be. I mean, ChatGPT will be what we want. What we would decide it to be. It's not. Is not the next, let's say, the next coming of the computer to some extent. It's a good tool. It has its uses, but it also needs to be, let's say, carefully managed, so
Totally.
that we don't overdo it.
Okay, that's a different topic for a different conversation. I think. Yeah. Okay. No, I hear what you're saying. um,
Okay.
so automations. We spoke about the automations. Any advice for the people who are just watching us? What will be really just like a quick wins for them if they just starting the projects and they would like just to start doing something in the more automatic way? You have the great experience of the the data analytics. You're just also know about everything about the design. You're architect, so you have really all of the possible dimensions. Three, which is two advices for the guys.
Oh, it's yeah, well, there's quite a bit of it. It depends. It depends again whether you are from the architect side, or the construction side. If I were to start from now going forward and focus on one thing, I think it would be again data analytics. It would be I would be willing to democratize the data available, so make it available to the different levels of the people within a company, within an industry. Get involved with it, and just start playing with it, using tools like Power BI or anything similar, and trying to understand what story can we build from the data that is being shared. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to present the data just so that we present a set of nice graphs or pie charts or bar charts. We want to create a story that tells us the situation as it is, or as it was, and again, try to be as objective to what we are looking at as we can, and try not to steer it in a specific way that would, let's say, benefit us in a given situation. And that's very hard to remain objective against things that we are looking at.
Okay, make perfect sense.
Fantastic. It's so said. Don't you're what happened? You see that the data is not backing up your story, right? So you need to see it. I was making a wrong supposition, or good. And this is
Exactly.
I guess this is Lubomir, just to close up a bit the interview. This is how analyzing the data for those construction projects, and correct me if I'm wrong, to learn the things that you say we are not learning and we're making things again. So this, see what is happening, understanding why, and be able to learn, but back it up with data, not just saying, hey, because sometimes I can see also data as the human experience. Oh, I did this before, it's not like this, but if it's not backed up with a good data or on a solid report or whatever, no, I guess it will be harder to implement and correct it moving forward.
That's the risk. That's the risk. It's not, and it's not relying only on the experience of our colleagues, but is to be able to actually create a framework where everyone understands the information, and has the access to the knowledge. And that's again a risk to many projects, is relying too much on the personal experiences of the different engineers and package managers and section managers. And again, part of our job is to help the company move away from relying from a single person's experience, but be able to rely on the cumulative experience of the workforce.
We're getting back to OpenAI. I like it. That's okay.
No
It's
more
okay.
mentioning.
You're putting the trap for yourself, so this is good. I like it. No, but that's I think you're right. I'm just that's just something which is, guys, I really would like to see more and more coming. Uh, really, just give you some indication, saying, how it works, right? I'm just when you go sometimes through some crowd of people, you see somebody saying, I saw this person, right? And it's just give you some thinking, some red alerts, etc. If we will right now, we will be able just to give our brain some extra help with the analysis, etc., saying, it's not even unsee the person, but what was the situation, what was the case, etc. And then of course you can make your own call, right? Saying yes, I like it, I don't, I want, I don't. But we can augment, we can just go higher with our skills, years, looking at the way how we can just go for it. So anyway, I think it's good.
Very well put. Yeah, this is exactly it. Is understanding at the end of the day for me personally. It's understanding the answer to the question why is something like this, and I think a lot of things would be solved if people knew the answer to question why. To finish off on philosophical.
My God, we are getting philosophical. So just we went through all of the cycles today. We went through the
At the end of the day.
Very good.
It's very philosophical.
I'm gonna say sorry just to gloss up. Don't use data-driven design. Don't drive the data, no, for your design. Or how does it sound? Sounds good, right? As a closing.
Wow. Stop. This is not now. Okay. You're going too far now.
Well, reaching the end, Lubomir, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. We enjoy, learn a lot. We open here a sort of a Pandora box. We talk about data many times, but in this time of process automatization and so on, it was a nice discussion. Really, I think people will be glad to hear this. And for those who already arrived here, just don't forget to subscribe to our channel. A bit of publicity, okay?
We are doing these modern things right now, like all of the YouTubers.
Out of the corner.
Jesus. Okay. I never thought I would be doing this in my life. Please, guys, subscribe. Click the button. Oh my. Okay, that's good. No, but the positive things again. Thank you very much, Lubomir. Thanks for the people like you. We already have more than 7,000 people on LinkedIn as a members of our newsletter. I think we try to democratize really the BIM, because usually when the people say BIM, it's just like, oh no, I don't want to hear about it, and that's really coming into some more the discussions. And I think it's really worth to have the discussion like this. Thank you very much for spending the time with us. Thank you for teaching me again about BIM and the data and how you see the world. So I really appreciate. And Enrique, you're great of organizing all of and pulling the great people into our discussion.
Thanks, Enrique. Thank you, Piotr.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good day, Lubomir.
Have a good day, guys.
Ciao.
Thanks. Bye-bye.